What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Shontavia Show, where my goal is to help you start a business based on your life's vision. This ain't gonna be your daddy's business advice. I'm laser focused on entrepreneurship in the 21st century, vision, and breaking the traditional mold. If you can get with that, you can get with me. Be sure to visit Shontavia.com for more episodes, blog posts, and other content. Thank you for listening. The show starts now. Hey everybody, I'm Shontavia, and this is another episode of the Shontavia Show, where I hope to inspire you to build a business based on the vision you have for your life. I am so excited, y'all, to have Sherrica Sims here with me today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited that Sherrica Sims is here.
Hey.
She is the dynamic, creative force behind the Simply Sims brand. Sherrica is a lifestyle blogger, a parenting expert, a host, a speaker, a motivator. She's got the most beautiful natural hair I've ever seen, too.
You're just making me so blushing.
And Sherrica's goal is to empower women to rediscover their purpose, their passions in life by sharing her family's precious yet hilarious moments. You may have seen Sherrica's daughter if you're one of the 13 million people who saw their viral YouTube video in 2014. What was the title of it?
I think my daughter, Tiffany, she tells a story about
How she
taking a
stole a
donut.
donut?
Yeah, how she stole a donut. Something along those lines.
So her 3-year-old...
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been 5 years or so, 2014.
Yes.
Her 3-year-old tried to get out of trouble because she took a donut maybe when she wasn't supposed to.
Yep.
They've got 13.2 million views. I will link to that video in the show notes for y'all. But Sherrica has agreed to come here today to talk about going viral, starting a business out of that kind of unanticipated viral moment, and all the stuff that goes into that, because you don't get a blueprint when you go viral, right?
No one gets one.
Nobody gets a blueprint when they go viral. So excited to have you here today.
Thank you again.
So why don't you tell the folks a little bit about yourself, about where you're from, about who Sherrica is and how she came to be.
So if you can tell, I'm not really shy, but a little apprehensive sometimes to talk about myself, but let me just give it a try. But I am from Liberty, South Carolina. A lot of people don't know, but it's between Greenville and Clemson. And I grew up in one of probably the most churchy homes that you're ever going to find, literally. And so we were in church all the time. So at this point, I was like, you know what? I didn't have to talk about church to get people to follow me or be interested in us. Just be yourself. So how old am I now? 37. Just kind of realizing to just let it go and just be yourself. And that's what we are. And I think going viral was just literally us being us. And me parenting the way I parent.
Yeah, so talk about that video. How did it come about? What was Tiffany doing? How did that happen?
So basically back in 2014, the technology just isn't what it is today. So you couldn't send videos that were more than like 30 seconds via text message or anything or email. So I would upload little videos on YouTube for my husband and my mom and dad and my brothers to see. And that video just happened to be one of the ones that went viral. So it was like 7:30 in the morning. I just fixed them breakfast. She had just had breakfast. I was doing my normal thing of cleaning out what was left over, and a box of donuts. I had like 3 in there. I was going to throw them out. Got distracted. I had taken it from my hiding place because all mamas have a hiding place, okay?
Yes, we do.
And so I took it from the hiding place, put it on the counter because I was going to take it out with the trash because they were stale. Got distracted somehow, and saw her come out of the corner of my eye. She was munching on it. And I was like, Tiffany, what do you have? And she was like, nothing. And at that stage in her development, she had started to tell stories whenever I would catch her being, a normal 3-year-old. But my husband didn't understand what those were like because, she's the golden child and little girl. So that's what that moment was me showing him proof of her storytelling when she gets in trouble.
Oh, I see.
So it wasn't like a plan. It literally was just a moment.
So how did it go viral? You sent it to your husband and your family?
Yeah. So I shared it on Facebook, like the link on Facebook. Then honestly, just to kind of give you the ins and outs. So a lot of people don't go viral naturally. organically anymore. So we actually did sign with a company because I got contact with the company, but the video was at like 5,000 views. And they were like, hey, we think this has potential to go pretty big. Would you mind, signing this contract with us? Well, at first they were just offering like $100 and you relinquish all your rights. And then, or you could sign option B, which was, you get a percentage, or they get a percentage, like 20% or 15%, whichever one you feel more comfortable with, in the hopes that you would gain more money from it. And this was out of left field for me. I had no idea that this was actually an industry because I didn't know about viral nature of anything other than just, I was happy with the 5,000 views because I was like, oh, people think she's cute. And I was like, because she is cute. She's my baby. But we signed this contract with them, and that's when it really took off.
Oh, wow.
So they shared it through like it's like an aggregator through the news industry. And that's where it went on to like Good Morning America, those places. And that's where we got more revenue from it.
But so how do you make money off of a viral video?
Okay.
Could you talk a little about that?
Because there's lots of ways.
So you mentioned when you got 5,000 views, they reached out and said, hey, we can give you $100 or a percentage. So where does that money come from?
Okay, so they have deals with media companies to provide videos for talking points, through like morning TV shows, websites. That's the whole industry that I think a lot of video creators or people who just post on social media don't understand that's even there. I didn't understand, but I learned quickly. And I said, okay, they want this, then this has value, so I can now charge what I want for my content. And so I made sure that we retained ownership, and I was just licensing, giving them permission to license the video.
Smart.
Yes.
The intellectual property lawyer me is
of course
excited that you went that route.
Because I was like, okay, that's not going to happen. And I made sure to add that before I signed in the contract, that stipulation. And that was probably one of the best business decisions I ever made. And I also made added something that said I could cancel this contract.
Okay.
At my discretion.
Okay, so could you talk a little about, to the extent you're comfortable, a little about the finances? What does that look like with a video with 13 million views?
Okay, so if you want to post anything on YouTube, you need to, YouTube has changed their policy, but at the time you could just monetize your content without going into the partner program. So that meant it didn't matter how many followers or subscribers you had or how many views you had. You could just literally upload anything and get advertising dollars from it. So that's what I did. I kind of Googled it, said, how do I make money on YouTube, and followed the step-by-step instructions, set up the account, an AdSense account, and that was really how I made more money than the deal I made with the people, because I got the revenue from the viewership. So
I see. Oh, that
makes
makes
sense.
Brilliant.
So I double dipped.
I see.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. So you get a contract with this company. You realize, hey, I could make content that has value. You decided to build an entire business empire and brand around this one viral video. So walk us through that decision.
Okay.
How did that happen?
Well, I just realized, I didn't want someone taking advantage of my child, because that's the motivating factor, is that I can't be naive, because I'm a parent, but I'm a mom protecting her image. And that's online forever. So understanding, I was mapping out her future as well. And then to make it easier, not to put so much pressure on her, I made sure the whole family was involved. So we started to vlog our family, because that's what the audience wanted. That was the number one thing. They were giving me, I read the comments to see what the fans wanted to see and created that content. And that's what kept them engaged for a long time.
Oh, that's brilliant. So I've talked about on this show, I talk about on my website a lot, finding your ideal customer, your ideal client. So you went and looked at their comments, you saw what they wanted, you went and created that. And how did that impact your family? How did they deal with the newfound attention and all of that?
Well, okay, so my husband is the biggest stepping stone, because I tell him all the time, and this is not a surprise to you, Stanley, that if it had not been for me, he would have been living in the basement playing video games and working from home somewhere, because he's an IT guy, so he doesn't people is not like, he can people, but it's not what he wants to do. So this was, he's been the hardest person to get kind of on board with it, but he'll do it. So I'm changing the trajectory after 5 years of it being more just me and the kids, because it's easier, you know, and that's really what I'm more comfortable with. So I create content that reflects that, like something that's relatable to the audience, which is motherhood and the obstacles that you encounter.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But making it funny.
So your brand is motherhood, parenting, and all those things. So you created a business. Yeah. And you decided you were going to be an entrepreneur and do this. And now I know that you have worked with huge brands like Nickelodeon and Kohl's. How do you do that? How do you go from a viral video, a YouTube channel, you start a business, how do you end up with Kohl's and Nickelodeon? And what do those relationships look like? Okay, so yeah, that's a key word, relationships. So I formed a relationship with YouTube. So YouTube contacted us. And at what point?
At one point, so I think it was like 2016. So we were 2 years into it before YouTube contacted us, because I think they want to see sustainability on their platform. But they look at their analytics, it's Google, so they can see who's the top creator. And for a long time, that was us. And they will put you into their network, and YouTube has a network of advertisers, and they'll recommend people to those advertisers. Oh,
I see. Yeah. Okay.
And so that's how we got some of those deals.
Okay, cool. So what has that been like? So you were going about your normal life. This happens. You start a business. And when I say start a business, did you like register an LLC and get a tax ID number and all of that? So you make the switch to running this company. And had you ever thought about being an entrepreneur before? No. Okay.
No. So I have a background in social work. And sociology was my major. I was a social worker. And decided to become a stay-at-home mom when I had our son. Miles is now 11. So I haven't really worked for 11 years. So Tiffany was 3 at this point. And I just said, you know, when I had the money coming in, I said, I need to protect this. And the best way to protect that is with the LLC, because it is a business. And that's what I did. I put everything under the name of our company, which is Go Be Great Productions, and funneled everything through that and make sure I do the taxes accordingly. We pay our taxes just like everyone else. And I don't keep any of that revenue. Most of that revenue went back into getting equipment, setting it up, basically. And then I started a savings account for our daughter and our son.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So how does all this impact your family? So now your family is the brand.
They are the brand.
Your children and you. And I see your husband on some of your stuff.
He shows his face. Yeah. Reluctantly, but he does.
So how does that impact you when your family is the brand and the business, but it also is your real life?
Now that we did... 2 years ago, I'm just going to be honest, it was extremely difficult to create content because our kids were becoming uncomfortable with people knowing them. Does that make sense?
Were they getting recognized?
Yeah, at school, I didn't realize it was a lot of the kids watching our content on their parents' social media accounts on YouTube.
Okay.
So, like, I would look at analytics and it was like, hey, you have a great demographic in women ages 25 to 35. And I was like, oh, they're me. But it was really their kids watching their content on their accounts.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I've always kept it family friendly. I think you want to keep that in mind. What type of content do you want to create if you're going to make a business that recognizes or that relates to brands? Because you want to know what the brands are looking for. Does that make sense? And so you want to actually, it's a fine line to create what the brand's looking for and what your audience is looking for under your voice. So for me as a mom, my audience was great. The brands are great, but my first priority is my family. And so when they started to show signs of uncomfortableness or discomfort is a better word, discomfort, I said, well, I'll pull back. And it was a sacrifice because the audience is not happy because they want you and they become quite possessive. And that's what I had to realize is, you know what? I am in control of this. I don't want this to be in control of me and my family. Or it started to feel very tedious.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And the work is okay, but the emotional stress was not good for our kids.
Yeah.
You know, because they had no privacy at school because their friends wanted them to perform like they did on YouTube, that kind of stuff. So I said, well, let's back off of YouTube for a little bit, even though that's like some money, but I also wanted to make sure I balanced it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And kudos to you for prioritizing your kids over the money.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of family blogs and family accounts on YouTube and that kind of thing. I don't think everybody probably
they don't.
is doing that.
And nobody understands it either. So we have a lot of people behind the scenes that we worked with who don't understand why Sherrica, just do it. Just do it. But I can't just do it until, because it's not just me.
Right.
It's the family. So that's been my thing. Yeah. They're my number one.
So you mentioned, sorry.
No, you're fine.
You mentioned the fans want things from you. The brands want things from you. What do they want? What do brands want from you once you go viral and you have this kind of family brand? What do the fans want? And how do you decide when it is the right thing and when it's not? You mentioned your kids, but what are the other considerations? Even if they wanted to. Yeah. Now, how do you decide?
All right. So brands typically will have requested an increased production value. Does that make sense? So, like, I'm usually with my camera or my little vlogging camera, but it's really just been moments, just us being us, but they want a more, I guess, scripted, something that they could easily see themselves plugged into, which is difficult, too, because I've seen the same brands work with other creators who have similar approaches, but I think the only difference is being a woman of color, that they think you have to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? The standard is higher. And I was uncomfortable with that because, again, I think we have quality content. It just doesn't look overly produced. Because if it's overly produced, you're going to lose some of your fans. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm of the mindset is you can have us as on-air talent. So if you want us to be highly produced, then you pay for it. And we'll show up for your commercial. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So and I realized I was telling you earlier, as the talent, you get to say those things. And if you have that value, you get to control the narrative.
So how do you get there? Because I would imagine most people, if they were in your shoes and they have, you know, like Nickelodeon saying, hey, we want you. Or Kohl saying, hey, we want you. Or anybody say, hey, we want you. Some folks would feel like, oh, well, I should do whatever they want. How do you get to that point where you can make that choice?
Yeah, well,
when you say, I'm the talent, I get to decide.
It was because it was a lot of tears, okay, like in private, because, you know, I want this, you know. This is, like, I've seen where this can go. I want this, but I think as a mom, a wife, a mother, a woman, you sacrifice unduly sometimes. But I had to realize that anything that's going to be worth it, you have to go through that struggle time. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's been more of me realizing who I am and shaking off who other people have told me I had to be. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
And so the brands were doing the same thing, I felt. And the fans were doing the same thing. So I said, well, I don't want to lose myself in people pleasing. And I think a lot of creative people, creative types, are highly sensitive to rejection or just the perception of others, period. So I had to realize I wanted to do something different. I have control, and I had to get comfortable in my own skin and understand that rejection is going to be a part of it and say if a brand doesn't like me as I'm presenting myself, then they just are not a brand I'm willing to work with, no matter how much money may come.
So could you speak a little to that concept of income? So, you know, like you said, when you went viral, the first thing you did is said you Googled, like, how do I make money on YouTube? So how do you make money as a content creator? What are the various streams that can come in?
Okay, so you have to first, if you're going to look at any platform, you have to learn their policies, their terms and conditions. You have to read those pages and pages of things that we typically just say, oh, I agree. Yeah. But there's a lot of information in that. For YouTube in particular, I follow the blogs, their YouTube blog. And that is a wealth of information about their policies and how they implement them and how that affects creators. So that's what I do. I follow that. I look at Instagram. Same thing with TikTok, which is a new and up-and-coming thing, to see how will that affect what I'm trying to do and making money. So I think most people, if you're going to go viral, you need to have something that you can fall back on too. So have a business idea or have a business already that you can kind of promote on those channels. Does that make sense? While people are looking at you. Yeah. So I saw a comedian who did that. He had a viral video with his son. And he started his world tour, is what he's calling it. Stuff like that. Yeah. I think that I didn't have access to when we started, or I didn't even know about. I'm learning from other people, even now, how they create other streams. So people do merchandise on their websites. Lots of different ways you can make money. We're talking about being a speaker. Lots of different avenues. It's just what you're comfortable with.
Right.
And what you have a talent for.
Right. So what do the brands you work with want you to do? Is it commercials? Is it, I think I saw on one of your Instagram channels, you visited a location. Yeah. What do they want you to do? And could you talk about what you've done thus far?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of commercials. We did one with Kohl. That was their commercial, a social media campaign. Which was really fun. We went to New York and filmed it. We were there for a week. It was really awesome. We came back earlier this spring, we went to the Nickelodeon resort in Punta Cana, and we were a part of their social media video campaign as well. So it's all about, again, finding brands that are relatable. So my kids love Nickelodeon. I don't have a problem working with them. They're respectful of the family. That was something they wanted everybody to be involved with. Yeah. So I was like, good. And the team was amazing. Everybody was great. So I would love to work with them again. That's a relationship builder. But as a talent, I'm learning that you want to work with people who respect you. Yeah. And respect your boundaries. So that's really good for me. Yeah. So they would be good for me to work with again. But that was just, and I think it helped me dream bigger for my vision for the family. Does that make sense? Yeah. That now I'm kind of wanting to go more into the travel industry and maybe becoming travel influencers, because especially in the Southeast, a lot of people don't travel outside of the Southeast on a regular basis. So I wanted to show them that it's possible, that there's a whole world out there, and I want to show my children that too. So yeah, cool. That's my goal, my vision as an entrepreneur for our business moving forward.
So if someone wants to become a content creator / influencer online, what do you tell them they need to do? Like, what are the first 3 things you need to do if you want to create an online platform where you are the talent, where you are the content creator?
Okay. The first thing you need to do if you want to become an online influencer, talent, whatever, is know your voice, because your voice is going to draw your audience. So not just know your audience, but also like the way you engage with them. How much are you willing to share of yourself? Because it can be as invasive as you allow it to be. Then there's like if you want to work with brands, you have to know what brands you want to work with, and then pair up your content to line up with that. And then probably the third thing would be just do it. Just do it.
So what do you mean by pair your content with the brand? So do you mean like make it visually look like their stuff?
Or something that they could see themselves plugged into. So if I wanted to work with Kohl's again, I would probably look at what Kohl's is doing on their social media, on all platforms. All the major platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. See what they are doing currently, and then create that same or similar type content. Meaning if it's highly produced, maybe abstract or colorful, I would like to make sure that my stuff lines up with theirs. My content lines up with theirs. Does that make sense? Yep. You're not mimicking them, but you're being inspired by them because that's someone that you want to work with.
Got it. Cool. So who's helped you? So you just gave amazing advice to people if they want to get into this space. Who has helped you go from, a viral moment to creating a sustainable business?
Okay, so that's been something, again, I think I told you earlier, it was just, you have to open yourself up to it. So like, I had to go back to realize what was holding me, because creatives will have creative blockage, period. And they'll have their hang-ups. So I had a hang-up was, it's like, I don't really trust a lot of people. So I had to realize, where did that come from? Kind of going back to growing up in Liberty and, kind of being the odd woman out, odd girl out. And just saying that's not me anymore. Letting that go. And then reaching out to people who are impactful in their own right. Being inspired by them. One being you. Shontavia. Who's helped me out to see my value as well.
So Sherrica was a client of mine for a while. We worked together 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, for the brand and understanding that you can give yourself permission to evolve your brand. It doesn't have to stay stagnant. So someone like yourself, we've signed with another agency out in LA because I realized I can't do it all by myself. And that's that self-sufficient, that self-sufficiency that we kind of have to go through in life sometimes. And so being there for everybody else made me a people pleaser, like I said earlier, and stopping doing that and just really focusing on, like I said, the goals I want to have for our family, that I do have for our family, and going for it. That's been like the main helpers, is saying you can't do it by yourself. Yeah. And that's okay. That doesn't make you a failure. Yeah. Help it, that is courageous. That is strength. That is, most entrepreneurs that you see who are on that are blowing our minds now with the things that they're creating and doing and how they're managing their businesses, they have a whole team of people, and you can't do it all by yourself. Right. So that's been really helpful for us, is to realize it, or for me as I lead the family in this avenue, to let it go and just trust other people to do what they do well. For me. Yeah. Oh, man. That is such good advice, Sherrica. I so appreciate that in particular. No problem. So what's your vision? Last question. What is your vision for the Simply Sims brand, your family's brand? What is your vision? The sky is the limit. That is my vision. The sky is the limit, and wherever we want to go, we can do it. As long as we're together and we're doing what brings us joy. Because I feel like if it brings me joy, it'll bring others joy. Yeah. And that's my vision for Simply Sims as a brand. Awesome. So where can people find y'all? Where can they find you online? Let me plug this here. No, they can find us on YouTube at Simply Sims. On all platforms, we're either Simply Sims Family or Simply Sims Fam, because it would be too long. So, yeah, they can find us literally on every platform: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. Okay. That's the new and up-and-coming one, girl. Mm-hmm. We have to talk about that later. Oh, hey, I have TikTok on my phone. Yes. I think I'm too old to really get it. That's the thing. We all feel like we're too old, but it is not. There are women, men, grandparents on that platform killing it. Oh, I believe it. I am confused by Visco girls, but I'm learning. I am learning TikTok, and we will be on TikTok together pretty soon. How about we do something together? I got you, girl. All right, cool. Wonderful. So, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Sherrica, thank you so much. You are so wonderful. You are amazing. I love you and your family and what you're creating. Thank you. You know that already. Good people, Shontavia. Good people, as my grandma said. Good people. Thank you. So, if you guys have questions about creating content, about what happens when you go viral, if you already have an online business and you've experienced some of these same things, come over to Shontavia.com to this particular post, drop a comment, let us know of what you are experiencing and how maybe we could be helpful to you in your work and in your platforms. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Shontavia Show. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment wherever you're listening. You can find me on social media everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and wherever else at Shontavia JESQ. You can also visit me at Shontavia.com to find a transcript of this episode, along with other show notes.
While you're there, please be sure to subscribe to my email newsletter. The information shared in this podcast and through my other platforms is designed to educate you about business and entrepreneurship, and I love to do this work. While I am a lawyer, though, the information I provide is not legal advice and does not create or constitute an attorney-client relationship. The Shontavia Show is a Leverage Incorporated original. The show is recorded on site in South Carolina and produced at Sit and Spin Studio in Greenville, South Carolina. Original music and sound design is by Matt Morgan and Daniel Gregory. Mixing and mastering is by Daniel Gregory. And the video is by GVL Media.